Good morning. Lord help me make this video. Um, I got a couple of parables that I've been banging around in my head. Actually, one of them I just thought of today, and there's another one that I thought of a while ago. So I was thinking about a party, and like this is sort of like a parable about maybe like God's judgment or like how I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say what it is. Jesus didn't say what his parables were about. But like, let's say there's a party that the devil invites you to a party, or he invites everybody to a party. And maybe we don't know it's the devil. Maybe we know full well that it's the devil. Maybe some people know and some people don't, right? So some people are like, oh, Lucy's having a party. And some people are like, Lucy, you mean Lucifer? That's the devil. No, I'm not going to his party. And then some people are like, you don't know that for sure. It's just Lucy. Like, it might be a cool party. So they decide to go. And let's say that they decide to go to the party. And then some people go, they roll up and they see like everything is dark. Not visibly, but everything is like dark imagery. And they're like, I don't know about this. They're like, no. And then some people are like, ooh, let's just, make an appearance and then kindly leave. And then some people don't notice that it's dark at all, but they're feeling bad feelings. And they're like, at the last minute, they just keep driving. They don't even go into the party. And then some people still didn't get any of those vibes, and they go into the party because they're just partiers, and they're experienced with parties, they're acquainted with parties. And so they're not getting any, they're judging it by the party feel. They've been to many parties and they're like, no, this party's legit. And so they go into the party. But then they go into the party and they don't recognize anybody there. And they eventually get uncomfortable and just leave. And then maybe even still, some people stay at the party. And, they're kind of like booze hounds. So they're like, well, everything's free, so I'm going to get me some whatever. I'm going to get some of this top shelf whatever. I'm going to get some hors d'oeuvres. But they're noticing more and more like something is off about the party. So they're like, all right, I'm going to take this to go. And they leave the party. And then yet even still, some people, there's some more people there that maybe they feel bad, they feel off about the party, but they already committed to going. They told their friend that they were going to go, and they didn't drive, and they have to stay. And they're just working up the courage to like get out of there. And then let's say that even more people are at the party, and they don't feel anything off. It feels familiar because they grew up in a similar situation, and it's similar with parties like this all the time. And they really haven't never seen a party be different than that party. And so they're not getting any bad juju vibes. But then they see later on or maybe they are getting bad juju vibes, but they don't even know that that's what those are. And maybe they see on the agenda later, like, hey, there's going to be a special presentation, at 8 o'clock or whatever. And it's like listing like all of this, there's going to be a live sacrifice and this and that. And they're like, okay, yeah, no, I'm leaving. So then they leave. And then maybe some people even more stay. And they're just, I don't know, maybe they've never seen anything like it and they're intrigued. And they're kind of swayed by the party. Because they're like, wow, look at all of this stuff and look at all these, I recognize that person. I recognize that person because they know all the people, all of the devil's friends or whatever. They recognize them from TV. And they're like, wow, this is cool. Like, they're just throwing around all these resources or whatever. And then they're like, hey, there's a presentation at the end. And maybe they're like, sacrifice. Well, that must be like some like posh term for something. They can't be talking about like actual sacrifices. And then they stay for it and they're like, oh my gosh. They meant actual sacrifices. And then they're like, yeah, no, this is complete wackadoo. So basically what I'm getting at is that there are varying levels of awareness. There are varying thresholds of what people are going to deal with, what people are going to see, what people are going to experience because of their thresholds. Like, who of the people, let's say they're all Christians, or let's say they're all, whatever. They don't need a label. It's Lucifer's party, okay? And there's all these varying people going to Lucifer's party and varying degrees or everyone's being invited. Where is Christine on the tier? I am at the very top. Lucy is throwing a party. You mean Lucifer? Yeah, no. No thanks. So there's a lot of things that I won't see that I have to find out about from everybody else. I got to research other stuff because I got to hear the stories because I'm not going to be there. And then of those people, who of those people were the ones who were obedient to the Spirit of God telling them to get out of there? All of them. All of them. So, but people are at varying degrees. And, that's part of that's how he made everybody. And, where does God, when does God leave the party? God has to sit through everything. So God is not squeamish. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I was like, yeah, people think God is squeamish. He's not squeamish. His way is better. His way is better. And he has emotional ties to, his reaction to what we do and when we obey him and when we don't. But like, he's not squeamish. Just because, when he's saying like, there shouldn't be even a hint of, unholiness among you and all of this stuff. Like, That's all true, but that doesn't mean he's squeamish. And you know what? A lot of those times when he's saying stuff like that, he's talking about stuff coming out of you. He's not talking about you going out to other places. Um, when you're like that whole, like, even when I just said about there shouldn't be a hit of unwholesome talk among you, coarse talk or whatever. Um, that's about what's coming out of you. That's not about, oh, well, if we can't even have a hint of coarse talk among us, then we definitely can't go over there, and we definitely can't go over there because all them people is coarse talking. It's like that's not the thing, because Paul says over and over, like, we can't control what the world is doing. We can control our behavior, and we're going to control that thing to death, not because we are doing some weird culty practice, but because we understand that we have to wrestle our flesh into submission, or it'll just be wild. And the thing about me, like, I try not to wrestle my flesh. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just basically don't give it a chance to even want stuff. I try to just like deprive it of information, because I'm just now like in the past couple of years, like with having that experience with the Holy Spirit and all that, I realized like that was part of Him teaching me uh, to have discipline, because that was always my biggest thing. I was like, Lord, I don't have discipline like as a real thing, like like people who go to a gym every day, who get up at 5 in the morning every day and do that to get their body to a place that is discipline. And like, I'm like, yeah, your girl don't have that. I don't know what, I will be worried, in my walk, in my 20s or whatever it was. It was like, Lord, I don't actually have discipline. Like, I know that about myself. Like, what does that mean for me? Like, am I in trouble? Because, and so I realized like he was teaching me discipline. Like I would use my wisdom card, pull the wisdom card, and just stay away from places, because it was like the idea of ending up in a mess and then having to sort of not do that anymore was like a daunting idea, because I just was like, yeah, no, my flesh ain't going. Like it's just going to drag me around, and I don't want to do that. And that whole situation that happened with me, and then having the Holy Spirit sort of rescue me from that, was really it showed me that that was like faulty thinking, like in the sense of like that was basically like my worst nightmare spiritually, and he just came and got me. Like there was nothing for me to be worried about, and there is nothing for me to be worried about. But by and large, I'm 40 years old. I'm going to do something new. I'm not going to go, oh, well, I'm not going to be afraid anymore of that. I'm just going to go out, and it's like, no, I want to stay away from nonsense. The rapture is about to happen. Like, I'm not going to go out and learn some new things and mess up and fall down. Like that's my personality. But yeah, so he's been teaching me discipline, because now it's like when the stakes are having him be around and being able to tangibly feel him, you can't in the same moment like do something that offends him, or like you're really not trying to do that. So that caused me to have incentive to be disciplined about things. So it's still like baby discipline. It's not, I got a little bit of it under my belt for the first time ever. But I really like realized that in bed one night. I was like, "Oh my gosh, are you teaching me discipline? Is that what this is about?" So, um, So yeah, I'm always at the top tier. Um, and as far as like people that I know, the people that I know maybe get up to showing up at the party and leaving early. Like that's the deepest level of the people that I am acquainted with. And uh, they might be lying and it turns out they might have stayed longer or whatever. Maybe they even indulged, whatever, and didn't tell anybody. You never know. But like, I have to hear about the other tiers of people like way after the fact, like in a podcast. I that those are not I am not around those people, but obviously they exist in life. And so I feel like, a person like me, like, because I'm at that top tier of like, yeah, heard about it later from other people, like, did not even bother attending to go to that or whatever. I knew that I had to learn from other people, um, and not, I couldn't judge anybody. Like somebody who uh, who went in and instantly felt off, and then was just trying to find gracious ways of leaving. Those people might be tempted to judge anybody who stayed longer because it's just like, how could you stay in that environment? How did you not see like all that imagery or whatever? And but me being at the very top and literally not, like, there's so few people who just know instantly that it's a party for the devil and just decide not to go. There's so few people like that. I don't judge people who get all the way in there. And then it's like you learn, that whole analogy, that whole parable alone I got from just gleaning and learning from everybody who's gone through things and knowing that it's like that. Um, it's like that at every level. There's some exit for you. Like God gives you some out that you can take. Um, and not everybody I think realizes that. They might be stuck on like, oh my gosh, did you see this? Like, so and so was there and they were doing stuff, like, that type of thing. It's like, yeah, no, they might have got out. You don't know because you left. So yeah, from the jump, I knew like I couldn't be one of those people judging because it's like I'd have to judge every single other person. That doesn't make any sense. So clearly, it's just something about me, and yeah, I learned that pretty fast. But here's another analogy that I thought about today. Watching something, it was this guy talking about, he like literally analyzed the entire shampoo aisle and uh, in a store, and how they're all owned by the same companies and all that stuff. But the plot twist that I did not expect him to say is that there are some. It doesn't surprise me, but I just didn't expect it. But he was saying like there's things in the products that are chemicals that are uh, associated with hair loss in the shampoo, and then so there's that in your shampoo, and then that same aisle will have products for hair loss, uh, owned by the same companies. It's just like, okay, like, thank you for reminding me about the where we're at. So, but the analogy I got for that is this, not for that situation, but just for when I saw the shampoo aisle, because if somebody like takes a picture of it, it's just It's color coordinated, it's long, it's, I mean, just an obscene amount of shampoos. And I was thinking, like, the kingdom of heaven is like the shampoo aisle, because it's like, God is like, okay, you're not going to use shampoo. You are going to use you're going to use a mixture that I'm going to tell you what the mixture is. It's going to be, you're going to use this much honey. You're going to use this much mint. You're going to use egg, whatever. I don't know how to make shampoo, okay? Sulfides. You're going to go buy these little soap pieces or whatever, and you're going to put it all. And so God gives you like a tincture, a little thing. You're not allowed to use shampoo. And so maybe you're young and you're like, okay, God, this is what I'm going to do. And then, and maybe your hair smells not like the other people because they're using shampoos with like, floral notes and all of these different smells, right? And then at some point you see the full measure of the shampoo aisle. You see what everybody else is using, or what everybody's selection is. And you see that shampoo aisle and you're like, okay, I have been duped. I've been duped. Look at this shampoo aisle. Look at this. It's like variety, and it starts in rainbow colors. It's rainbow colors. Then it's jewel tones. Then it's metallic bottles with golden lids, and you're like, I've been wasting my life. Look at all of this. Look at all this. I'm not going to be able to get through this in my lifetime. I got to try all these shampoos. So maybe you start trying the shampoos but your hair is crunchy. It's dull. And then you realize, like, oh, that's why I'm not using the shampoos, because God has something better. But like, and then maybe, or maybe and then you go back to using your stuff. And maybe you tell people like what you do. You're like, I just use this and this and this. I don't use shampoo. And at first it's like, hold on. You don't use shampoo? You don't use shampoo? You don't use shampoo? And everybody's just hung up on the verbiage of saying that you don't use shampoo. Oh, her hair is dirty. Her hair is dirty because you don't use shampoo, because they don't know about the other stuff. They don't know that there's other stuff. They know shampoo washes your hair. So, and they don't know that what you're using, and maybe you don't even know what you're using, is technically shampoo in the umbrella term of what shampoo is. But you don't call it shampoo. You shampoo is in a bottle. For you, shampoo is in a bottle. It's in the stores. You're using a tincture, okay? And so you go back to using it, and your hair is just shiny and just luscious and amazing. And everybody's going, what are you using? What is that? Because maybe people are having particular problems. Maybe their hair is falling out. Maybe their hair used to look like that. And maybe everyone's hair was like that in childhood. And then, but then they started, they got older. They started taking control of their hair. They started picking the things that worked for them. They used to use this. Now they use this. They used to use that. Now they use this. Whatever. So everyone's hair was like this when they were young. And so when they see you, they don't think like, oh, you've got some like super secret that I need to like drop everything to get. They're just thinking like, oh, she's using something that I've never used or whatever. Like, what is that you're using? And it's like, um, everyone assumes that the way that what you're doing is something that everyone can do and everyone can just get. And it's true, everyone can just get, but you have to stop the shampoo. You got to stop using shampoo entirely. You have to make it all yourself in a room. And, maybe it smells weird, but it actually doesn't. Maybe it just smells like hair. But everyone else is used to like your hair smelling like something else, smelling like lime and peaches and apple orchards and after the rain, whatever. And so your hair doesn't smell weird, it just smells like hair. And so people are like, yeah, your hair smells, I don't like the way your hair smells, but your hair looks amazing. It looks amazing. And so, like, I don't know, I'm trying to combine all of this stuff with my metaphor. And maybe you convert some people to your way of doing it. And maybe some of them are like, yeah, no, it was just, it makes your hair is great, but it's just a lot of work. There's mayonnaise involved. Like, it's just not. And they go back to shampoo. Even though the point of shampoo is to clean your hair and make it in the best shape that it could possibly be. And there's nothing better than what you're doing for your hair. But they can't hang with the other stuff. After years of just getting in the shower, popping some shampoo in your hair while you're in there or whatever, now you're having to like sit at the sink and make something. At night it takes like 2 hours to make, and then you have it like, for a couple weeks, and you got to do the same thing again. It's like, yeah, no, I just had to go back to. So people are willfully going back to inferior hair because it's just more convenient and it doesn't make your hair smell weird and people aren't asking you questions. Um, yeah. So is my metaphor breaking down? No, it's the only thing that's breaking down about it is that, your hair. Some people care more about their hair. Like they care, they put a lot of time and effort into it. So I think people get that. Um, but like your hair in this case being like your soul and shampoo being like the stuff that you use, or the way of God or whatever. I'm pretty sure I tried to make that clear. But anyways, yeah, I was thinking about that. Just in particular, the variety of shampoos and how just the nature of this world. And that shampoo aisle, I mean, it encompasses everything that this modern age is. It's just this obscene amount of variety that is literally just five companies trying to get your money out of your hands. And if they need to make your hair fall out to do that, eh, that they might do that. They are doing that. And I don't think it was every single shampoo, but he did highlight quite a few of them that had, those chemicals in it. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, shiny and pretty and so much variety. And, it's just this cheap uh, cardboard cutout idea of abundance and good things that the world offers you, um, and that we fall for. But hopefully, you get a little older and you live long enough and you realize, like, this isn't, you know, it's just funny. It's just funny because people really get fooled by the shampoo aisle, like, to them, it's like, but look at it. It's just, you can't, it's just an undeniable thing to them that is like, but it's such a cheap, it just has like a certain air to it. Um, it's a cheap illusion for like people who, you know, I'm not like, not in real life. Like, I mean, it's the shampoo aisle, for goodness sake. What are you going to do? But I'm saying, like, if that being the nature of everything in this world, and it's just like, have you not done anything with any depth? Like, there's certain things that you can do in life to combat that. Like, if you're a person if you've ever made anything from scratch, and I mean from scratch, like, and all you had was wood and no pans, and you had to make your own apparatus to burn the whatever. Like, you're not going to be fooled by these cheap, or at least you're not going to be dazzled. You're going to get what you need and get out of there, because there's other things that matter and take more time and need more whatever. But yeah, those are just the two that I was thinking about. And yeah, I just wanted to get those out before I start my day. um Y'all pray for me because I got a cold, man, or something. It's like, you're like, oh, you come here, you got a little thing for a few days. First, it was just like sore throat, and then you're like, you think it's gonna be more, and then it's like the sore throat goes away, and then you just have like a sniffle, and you're like, okay, it's one of those. I'll be done in a couple days. But it's just like getting progressively, the snot is changing color, and I'm like, this is like day 4. What are we doing? I'm not trying to get like, no, nothing. So y'all pray for me so that I can go back to my life. I do not like being sick. And I'm not like, I wouldn't even count this as sick. Like, that's how light it is, but it's just kind of like lingering. So it's annoying. All right. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. One of my shorter ones today. I will talk to you guys later.